I would have never ever thought, you know what I mean? The stories that have been told today, so it's an eye-opener. Again, maturing, growing up, I've had to learn, I need to let out certain things that's going on in my life.
Now I try and talk to my friends when I'm feeling not good. Then I couldn't do it because I was worried about burdening people.
Is it that the generation before us didn't have mental health issues?
I think they did, but they didn't have the luxury to sit down and really process it.
For me, my therapist gave me the optimal way of dealing with issues. Yeah, I still do these different things to help myself, but I have this person here to tell me the actual way my brain works.
Yeah. Please define toxic masculinity.
We live in a world now where chivalry is punished.
So many young men are suicidal and desperate.
I guess there's no toxic feminism.
There's one group of people that says, yes, your life does suck. And that's these toxic masculine people.
What are you gonna do about it?
Yes, people, my name is David Whiteley. Welcome to The Space. And today we're gonna be talking about mental well-being.
Mental well-being, big conversation that we just don't really have as men, I feel.
Yeah,
for sure. And maybe a good place to start is like, before we even dive into like the big serious mental well-being stuff, like just in terms of like general well-being, like does anybody have like a self-care routine? Is there anything that you do that's like,
Definitely.
do you like run yourself bubble baths?
Play PlayStation?
Playing PlayStation is not actually.
I feel like it can be. It can be.
Valid.
Whatever you find that works.
That's very
Yeah.
I do training, so that
Yeah,
helps me.
same.
Or drawing.
Okay.
I've always
Drawing, yeah.
Oh, drawing?
stressed or
Yeah.
anxious. I just do a little sketch.
Long drives.
Long drives.
I get therapy out of detailing cars. So washing the car to make it look like showroom.
Really?
Yeah. I can see how that would be.
That's because I have
get
a passion for
therapy
vehicles as it is anyway, so.
out of like washing dishes.
Yeah, that's really
Yeah.
self.
You know what I mean?
I
It's
agree
just
with
having
that.
my hands in
Cleaning
water.
definitely does it.
Menial tasks. That's
Yeah,
what it
yeah,
sounds
yeah,
like. Very
yeah,
kind of
yeah.
simple things that you just
Simple
Switch
things
your
that
brain
you
off.
do.
Yeah.
You don't need anyone
But
else.
it's just it's getting to the cleaning.
Yeah.
Once I start doing it, it's
You enjoy
therapeutic.
it,
Before, it just feels like it would be untherapeutic.
Yeah. Before it's quite stressful. Actually.
Especially if you've got a load of dishes, you're like,
Yeah.
What about like going for a trim or something like
Yeah,
that?
that's
Is that
definitely
like
my therapy.
Walking is essential for me.
Walking
Really?
so good.
Yeah, walking.
Yeah.
Going on
I
walks.
haven't tapped into that
Yeah.
yet.
Yeah,
That's not my real.
yeah, going on walks. I've got this park just 2 minutes from my house. That park holds so many memories
I
for
love
me.
that.
How often do you go? Every day? Once a week?
Not every day, but enough.
I have a dog and I
when you need to.
him, man.
Yeah, when I
You
need
need
to.
to.
You have a dog and you don't walk him?
So his granddad
terrible.
walks in, but not me, man. I can't.
Well, the dog's granddad
Yeah.
walks him.
My,
Oh, so you're that-
my
so you're
partner's
the dog.
dad
Yeah.
walks the dog, but I can't really do that.
You know what
because
helps
I
me a
can't
lot
commit.
as well, which is a random one that probably just works for me. I've got a lot of like videos saved in my saved history of like things that's made me laugh and I realize those videos hold frequencies.
Yeah,
like when you
yeah.
go back to them,
It's
you
true.
can tap in.
Yeah.
Like I'll see a video.
That's
There's
so
this
good.
video I saw on TikTok that I saved, and it gets me every time I see it.
Yeah.
They have a so he's talking to a guy, and he goes, "If you want this 50,000 naira, make yourself cry."
Oh,
and
yeah.
then that other meme comes in that says, "Everyone, come and look at this." And then they go back to the guy. The guy's like, but it gets me. It just.
I do have videos
Yeah, I
like
think
that.
content can do that for you. If you
Same
select
with
the
music.
right one,
Same with music.
it can lift your frequency up.
Watching funny videos.
Like it's like listen to a certain song that when you had it at a point in your life, it resonates with you, and that it
Yes.
just always brings you back to that moment, whether it's
I feel like as men, we because we're always so masculine, we don't admit it, but when we're like a child again, for example,
Yeah.
like,
Oh, for sure.
If you catch me in an arcade,
Yeah,
I'll spend
exactly,
£100 in an
yeah.
arcade. So,
And I'm sure
like,
people can't do that, bro.
You have to leave
Their
after
parents
4
that-
games.
No, but also the competitiveness comes out. You're like, I've got to win. I've got to win.
same
Talking
thing
to
with,
you- talking to your
mothers
boys,
and your,
innit?
and your partner, when they baby you, we don't admit it, but we like it. Like,
Yeah.
We like the
That's
whole
like
affection.
Man free, we add on to it. Like,
We're sick more, yeah.
Like, I like getting my hair like braided or cut. Like, I feel like that's because I think it's like your head is like.
A good haircut is.
Yeah, like it's your mind though. It's like your crown. Like,
No, but if you have like a really crap hair day, or like
Yeah,
just like
you
a
feel
bad
bad,
week,
yeah.
or like shaving as well, same thing. Like,
Yeah,
it feels
the
clean.
same thing.
I know them ones.
But you're literally,
So mate, what
coming out a new
haircut is?
person.
Yeah.
Coming
our
out
main
with
You're
you.
literally coming out a new person.
Yeah.
I mean, you go in there looking a certain way and you come out looking different.
And you talk in a barbershop as well. It's a space where you feel
Yes.
Yeah, because I was
comfortable,
saying,
can
speaking to
share
you
and
boys as well.
open.
Yeah.
And not even just about things. Like sometimes you just chill with your
It doesn't
friends.
have to be
And
deep.
just
Yeah.
You don't have to speak
And
about
it's
it.
like just busting joke about the
bantering,
dumbest
just
thing.
bantering,
Because sometimes when
yeah.
you chill with your peoples and you're just having those dumb hypothetical conversations.
Yeah.
Tonight's about
Like, what would you do
moving
if you were this or this?
Yeah,
Like,
Thor versus Hulk, and then it's now we're talking about that.
Just
but
us going back to us as being boys again.
Yeah.
Do you think you could beat a bear in a fight? I reckon many men think they can. Like,
You could
100%
you could beat a bear in a fight.
Yeah, like just those dumb chats.
You really
And that's
And do you know what? That's what women don't understand sometimes. Like, why do you always want to be around your brethren?
That's why.
Me, but this is why. Like,
Just having that
conversation.
It can be a
different.
different type of conversation.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Do you feel like with those conversations that you have with your friends, you feel like you're hesitant to go to like the deepest? Like, would you cry in front of your friends?
Yes.
Yeah.
Would you?
Yes.
Yeah, I would.
No.
I have done.
No.
I haven't.
Yeah. No. Okay.
I-
You haven't.
That's
I'm
what
a
I struggle
crier, though.
with, Yeah.
I'm a crier though, but
Yeah.
I haven't cried in front of my friends.
I haven't cried in front of
Out of like
I agree.
intentionally or like.
You know what it is? I feel like the door's not open yet. Like there's certain things that I've gone through in life that not even my closest people don't know.
Really?
Yeah, you have to question those
And
things,
yeah,
right?
because I tell you why, because I've got like 5 people that's very, very close to me, but I've only told 2 of them of something that's happened last year. And the only reason to what you said before, you need to be mature enough to understand what I'm going through to not just, because tomorrow you're gonna wake up and just forget what I'm going through, innit?
Yeah.
Like if you've told me something that you're going through in life, I'm gonna make sure I check up on you. I'm just
Yeah.
that type of guy, innit? But if I've told you something, it's not that I'm expecting you to come to me every morning or every night, like, yo, bro,
like,
how's
hey, baby,
life?
you okay?
Can I
Yeah,
give you No, I don't need all of that stuff. I just need you to know that I just went
No,
through
I need
something.
it.
Be there when I need you. type of
I've
thing.
definitely told friends things and how they
regret it.
reacted made me regret it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, bro,
Same.
Instant regret.
I raw dropped a wall.
Definitely.
And you ain't
Which
checked
is
up.
difficult
You
to
ain't
do.
asked me. You ain't
that's
nothing.
hard.
And then I had the worst thing. Man tell me, you joke too much.
Wow.
So because I joke so much, and
don't
because
know
I'm
you
good,
can't be serious.
because I'm good 95% of the time,
I
I can't tell a man I'm not. For you to believe that I'm not good, it requires too much of me.
Yeah.
Because what do you want me to drop? The wall, the paint, the foundation, everything. I should be able to say, bro, it was mad, you know.
Yeah.
It's true.
And you kind of.
I think as well, what's really important, like what my brother does, for example, is like he'll be around and I haven't seen him for a while, and he's like, mate, you're good. And how we do it is it's just what it says. It's not just you good. It's like, mate, how's everything going? Are you happy at the moment? Are you okay?
Actually tell me the answer.
Yeah, because he knows some of the stuff I've been through, and sometimes it's just checking in, but checking in properly.
Yeah.
Not just, oh mate, you're alright, you're good. It's mate, you're good, and that's it. And you don't need to talk about it all the time. You just a little check in. It's good with your mates as well.
We haven't been taught how to check in. Obviously, it should be a
So
natural
true.
human
Yeah.
thing.
No, it's so
But like,
true.
this ain't something that we've been taught. They're literally
not.
learning in this
We're not.
generation.
We are learning.
Like, I don't remember, like, my family, they might even see this, but if they see this, I don't remember them, like, checking in like that, if you know what I mean. The check-in was completely different.
It's not like a welfare check.
Yeah, it's like, it's the tradition of how you,
Yeah.
and then however you choose to answer that, we're leaving it there. We're
like,
not going
okay.
deep.
Me and my pops are both going through things.
Yeah.
When we call each other, yo, yeah, done.
Done. Has you said I love you to you before? Can you count how many times?
As men, we don't say love.
Maybe.
I remember
say it now.
like really specifically going through a period of time with my dad where like every day I would say to him, I love you.
I love
And
that.
I'd wait for him to, and he just wouldn't say it back. And he obviously loved me, and he'd be like, yeah,
they
okay,
don't say it.
all right. And then eventually,
He wanted to pause
it took months, yeah, but eventually he cracked. And he
That's
had to say it
interesting.
back.
For the longest time, like only recently, I've been able to say to like my family, I love you.
Wow.
Like only recently.
Yeah.
Why?
I feel that,
What was
I feel
the?
that.
Same.
Do you know what it was? It was like how I perceived masculinity. It was like, oh mate,
I can't say love you.
I don't feel that. It's so stupid.
yeah, so-
We all feel things. Like we all do.
Yeah.
Culture plays a part in it as well.
It does,
Yeah.
massively.
Because like, I've started hugging my mum.
Wow.
I'm 32 years
That's
old.
crazy.
That is
No.
crazy, bro.
I know.
It's not just me that has the problem. She has a problem as well.
Yeah.
She's
That's
giving
your
me the deadest hugs, and I'm like, Mom,
And I think that's
lean
why,
into this.
that's why.
Yeah, when I used to hug
why
my
you need
mum,
it, though.
it
Yeah.
used to be like the highlight of my week.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. Yes.
Because it didn't happen
get
that often.
something.
Yeah, no, but it didn't happen that often.
Yeah.
So like,
It was precious when it
used
did.
to be, yeah, it was precious when it did. It would be
yeah,
something I'll replay over in my mind. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, we actually hugged each other.
Mm.
Like, the hugs, the I love yous didn't happen that often.
See, I was very lucky to have all of that, but I just didn't see it until
She
recently.
didn't value it.
Didn't value it. When you've got something, sometimes you don't value it.
Yeah, for sure.
Like if you've always been if you're very lucky, and I'm very fortunate in a lot of my life, so I haven't valued a lot of that. And then there's points where you do value it because something happens.
And that's why you need. I think that's why you need
Humbling.
to share but even like why you need to share to your friends, because I don't think we've had that with our parents. Being able to be vulnerable and be honest. I feel like if you don't share with anybody, it just stays inside, and it festers and it festers and it festers. And I'm so intentional with my friends. Like, I'm not gonna have friends I can't be vulnerable with. Because why am I gonna have people like that? I don't want.
It's a waste of time.
Shallow relationships.
My lifestyle around certain people now, basically.
Yeah.
And you said that you haven't cried in front of friends yet.
No.
And you don't necessarily feel like, without shouting at your friends, like you don't feel like people are necessarily at that, or they're at that point in life where that's an appropriate thing before.
Wow.
Some people are different stages.
Yeah, because I feel like they're not in a certain position in life for them to understand what's happened. That's why it is. So I wouldn't go and disrespect myself and go cry in front of some people.
Sometimes we assume that though.
What?
That's a big thing.
It could be one of your most playful brethren could see you cry and be like, well, are you good, bro? Like, they might hit you with something you never expected.
These are people that you've known for years.
But you've never seen that kind of
they might be thinking the same of you.
Of course, there's no what it is. Do you know it might not be in the same scenario.
Sometimes it's that for people they have to meet you at that level. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes it takes someone offering vulnerability
You need to give that
to be met with the vulnerability.
And
when it's serious.
But the problem with vulnerability is that it's vulnerable. Do you know what I mean? Like it's a risk to do it. And so and I think for us as men also, we don't want to be in that position to experience the rejection, especially from your brethren.
Because as men, we just take it in the wrong way.
Do you know what I mean?
Rejection doesn't always have to be negative though.
Yeah.
Because you could then learn something about, this is who...
This is where they are.
I literally recategorized some friends.
Wow.
I had to. Wow. I had to, because in my head prior to, if I break down, these men will be here for me. And then I learned otherwise. So sometimes through the rejection, you learn.
Yeah, it's true.
Okay, I have to maybe this friend I have to put in that category.
No, you're right.
I agree with that.
I think what you were saying was like, this is how I think. That's why I don't open up these people I've known for ages. And they probably, or maybe, are thinking the same about you. Yeah. And I think until you have that dialogue and risk, and as you said in your situation, it might blow up in your face.
Yeah.
But if it doesn't, the payout is
massive.
Yeah, but you know, my answer to that is that obviously the situation I'm talking about is just a heavy situation for me right now.
Yeah.
We've been through obviously smaller situations together that's kind of given me an image of what the person could react to if I'm given this news, innit? Maybe the other news on the other situation that I've had, it wasn't a crying matter. This one is more painful. So I'm just
wary.
More wary.
Some man can only react to 10 though. Some people don't know how to give you the level of emotion that you would require for 2. Like for instance, like if you tell your brethren, I lost my car, they can't.
It's like, what should I do?
They laugh. But if you tell them I lost my dad, they'll be. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I've got friends who are like that.
That's my problem.
Until the moment is the moment. They don't.
They snap in.
They don't realize what's required.
Yeah, because I have a one-track way of helping my friends, and I do it with comedy. But sometimes that's not the way.
So do you think if we flip it and we reverse it and we're talking about, rather than like how our friends respond to us, how we respond to our friends, do you feel like you do a good job? If your friends come to you with something serious, do you feel like you do a good job of holding the space for them?
I've failed a lot of friends.
Really?
Yeah. I failed. I don't even. I'll tell this story, but really and truly, it's mad. Years ago, my friend was with somebody that lived in another country, and they were talking to me about it. And I was literally saying, dead that? This girl. I was saying to him, he's cheating on you, therefore, and she's struggling with that. And I've told her that. And she really had a crisis over it. She really broke down because what she needed in that moment was not advice or correction. She just needed, because sometimes just because something's true, because I thought what I was saying was true, doesn't mean you have to say it.
Yeah.
And we're fixers in that regard. Do you know what I mean? I think, again, we as men, but I do think that's a stereotype that we want to fix things. Do you know what I mean? If there's a problem, we want to come with a solution. So if somebody tells us a problem, we're like, here's how you solve it, rather than being like, rah, that's bad.
I think what you're saying as well, when you're judging a situation, I think a lot of the time is give pause.
Yeah.
Whatever you think here,
immediately respond.
You don't have to immediately say it. You can be like, okay, that's what you said. This is what situation is. I'm going to think about it and then respond. I think it is really important, but also looking out for signs. There are like clear signs a lot of the time with your friends that are struggling with like mental health problems or with anything in their life. And if you actually take yourself out of yourself a little bit and just look at that, then you can see it as well.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Being aware of that.
It takes intention, like it takes so much intentionality to build and foster those relationships. And I think that in the same way that you would to your partner, you wouldn't say, oh, it's not the right time for me to share this thing with you right now. You just give it to them and let them live out their response. If it's not the right response, you work through it, you say you upset me, and then you work it through. Same thing with friendships. You have to say, this is my issue, and learn the ways to support one another, and also let them come to you with things. My friends have come with me with some deep stuff. I didn't know what to do in that moment, but I learned how to deal with it.
I've frozen a couple of times.
Yeah, for
Back
sure.
to what David was talking about. I saw I think it was a quote somewhere on Instagram, I randomly saw it, and she was saying something about how everyone always talks about being bluntly honest, but you can be sensitively honest as well.
That's so good.
And I never knew that.
Yeah.
And it's like, because I remember when my mum first got her cancer diagnosis, there's a
Sorry
nurse
to hear
that
that.
she has to, no, she's passed on.
Okay.
Yes, it's cool. There's a nurse that she used to go and see, and my mum used to always come back and be like, the nurse is so blunt. The way she would just,
unnecessary.
The way she would just deliver, nothing's working.
Oh, I've
nothing's
experienced that in
improving.
hospitals,
Do you know what I mean? And it's like, those are the occupations, especially where you need to be sensitively honest. Because these are life-changing things. You're just saying to someone, your results
another
say
day
that.
at the office.
Yeah, I remember when I was in hospital, because I was in hospital, I've been in and out of hospital for 4 or 5 years, in and out. But more so in the last kind of 2 years prior. And a lot of the doctors would not be sensitive at all. The nurses, in my experience anyway, I found were just brilliant. And the doctors were very kind of like, they would talk over you, they wouldn't give you time.
Yeah.
And I think that the health system in this country anyway, in my opinion, is got a lot of problems. I think the heart of it is what we're discussing as well today, is being able to talk about things and being able to be seen. Because a lot of the time when I was in hospital, I didn't feel like I could be seen. I think that's the same with friendships as well. Some friends that maybe you have, if you actually give it a hard think, maybe they just don't feel seen with you.
Yeah.
And I think giving
What's
that
the
space
word?
to people.
What's the word that's like, what's the difference between sympathy and empathy?
Sympathy is when you...
Pitying.
Sympathy is when you feel it too.
No.
The empathy is when you feel it.
Empathy is when you feel it too. Sympathy
more
is
like-
putting yourself in somebody else's shoes, trying to
Yeah,
understand
I
their
think
experience.
men struggle with sympathy. Because,
Trying to understand somebody else's
yes, because like I feel like if I'm strong in an area and you come to me complaining about that area, so it's like, I'm like, what's wrong with you, bro? Like, get over that. Because
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm saying? That was easy. That wasn't even a thing
I've got
for
a
me.
brethren who's like that. I tried to learn bass guitar. He was like, bro, it's easy. It's just maths. It's just what numbers. And I was like, bro, I'm dyslexic. Numbers don't work. It's not gonna make sense for me. But you also made the point earlier about seeing the signs, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's such an interesting idea because, and in the point about healthcare as well, is like maybe people are not reading those signs right. And when we're misunderstanding, like when we're struggling with empathy, maybe we're not clocking the depth of what people are saying to us or trying to communicate to us. And I'm wondering, like, in the spirit of sympathy, like putting yourself in somebody else's shoes, like when you feel stressed, how do you deal with that? Because I don't know if I'm being honest, I don't know if I'm the best at dealing with stress. Like I feel like I might actually be quite bad at dealing with it. When I get stressed out, I actually shut down. Do you know what I mean? Like rather than being like, oh, I need help, or can somebody or trying to talk to someone, I just go into my own world. And I don't know if that's like a common experience.
Definitely.
Yeah,
definitely. Shut down or disappear. Where's Shocker gone?
Yeah.
Come back out. Come back out in like 3 days, like Clark Kent. A brand new person.
What I used to do as well, like when I was younger, before any actual things happened, just when I was struggling with things separately, I would always because I started smoking when I was just cigarettes when I was younger, and I'd be like, okay, I'm feeling absolutely awful right now, just the worst of the worst. But you know what? I'm gonna have a cigarette. I'm gonna give this time where I'm just away from everything, have the cigarette. But when I come back, I'm gonna be a bit better. And it's weird when you allow yourself to feel it, to feel whatever you need to do, I think it's, for me anyway, a lot more healthy in a way.
That's often what
Otherwise,
they
it's just going to repress.
And then you
Most times we avoid though, don't we?
Yeah, we
try and
do,
avoid
we
the
do.
feelings, box them up, put them away.
You give yourself a half an hour window to feel it. Say, after the half an hour, I'm not going to do
Half
it.
an hour is short.
That definitely sounds manly.
Yeah. Half an hour and then it's done.
Then it's done.
It's done.
I don't care about this no more.
But half an hour is better than no time.
Yeah.
It's finding
Okay,
healthy
35
outlets.
minutes, give it that.
It's finding healthy outlets, like you're saying that, because I feel like so many people don't have healthy outlets.
Yeah.
They become workaholics. They get too much into drinking, smoking. It could be other addictions. Do you know what I mean? Whether it's sex, it could be all these things that we just do too much of, and it becomes unhealthy because you're not dealing with the root issues.
Well, I feel like that's just masking. That's like masking.
100%. Your issue.
feelings,
100%.
Me personally, growing up, every time I had an issue or something, I would kind of just sort it out on the go instead of stopping, finding out what's the
getting busy.
issue, sorting that out. Instead, I'll just carry on, and I'm just, carrying extra baggage on me each time and something goes wrong, and I'm just sorting it out. Only till like 2 years ago, where I've actually had to stop my whole life, sort everything out one by one, and now I've learned that I gotta actually stop. Whether it's stress, whether it's anxiety, whether things happen, you need to deal with it there and then.
Can I ask you a question? Did that make you angry? So when you would go on the go and dealing with things,
but I never knew.
Did you hit people with a level of aggression that wasn't really about them?
Yeah. Rejection.
I've done that.
Right now, like, for example, like at home or something, like, I've got 3 sisters, I ain't got brothers. So I'll just snap at little things. Or even my mum might say something, I'll just say something and I just kind of cut out the house. Something like that. So I feel like, and especially now because I know myself and looking back at it, it did bring out a certain character, like aggression in small places, which I was never ever like that. But then again, I think I was just a naughty kid as well.
So many men are angry like
And
that.
what you're mentioning about dealing with it there and then, the reason why that is so important is because if you let it build up and build up and build up, you won't know which cause is making you behave that way. It could be, you think it's this one, but it's another one that you haven't dealt with.
100%.
And when I had my breakdown, I had my breakdown in 2012, first time I got section, it's because I let everything build up and then explode. Now, I don't even let a post go by on Instagram that makes me feel funny. I'll be searching through my timeline and I'll feel a joke. And I'll scroll back up and I'll look at the post and be like, why did I feel that way? What was it about it? Then I realized, it's his watch. I feel like because, do you know what I mean? He's got that. I'm really,
it's the road.
I'm like a mad scientist the way I think now. Like I don't let nothing slide. My mind now is like, I'm trying to make it.
I'm like that.
Honestly,
if I feel negatively, I need to know why.
Honestly. My mind, I try to make it like a clean room. So if anything stands out, I spot it. But if it's a messy room, you don't know what is.
You can't front on yourself. Like, if the reason why I think most men avoid doing that is because then you would have, because you remember you said the watch. Most people wouldn't voice that out loud. I would never say, most men would never say out loud, he's wearing a watch I don't have. That makes me insecure. Do you get what I'm saying? So avoidance.
To even look at that.
It takes humility, so much humility, And I think that's why I'm an advocate for therapy. I think every man should do therapy.
I've been section 4 times. I've never taken therapy.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah, never taken. But I think my music kind of served as that for me.
Yeah.
My music was so personal. Like sometimes I even forgot that I'm making
that.
music. I'm like, I got to make this vibey again because like I'm just using it. I forgot it's music. I'm just sharing. I remember my
pure depressing tracks.
My friends used to say it to me. They're like, "Shucks, your music's depressing." And I'm like, I don't think you understand. Like
what's going on
it's
inside.
deeper than music. I'm literally getting stuff out that I can't say to my friends, I can't say to my partner, I can't say to my aunt. This is the only place I can get it out. It just so happens that you lot get to hear it. I wish you lot couldn't, and it was just for me. But the song has to come out.
And that's your form of therapy.
Yeah, that's my form of
Everyone
therapy.
needs that.
To address this, like I feel like when people hear this now in this culture, it's like there's loads of like buzzwords and pop words that people throw on, like toxic masculinity and this and this. And I don't think there's such thing as toxic masculinity. I think there's such thing as toxic people that are men.
Yeah.
But I don't think there's such thing as toxic masculinity.
Toxic masculinity.
Thank you.
That's how much of a thing it isn't. You can't even say it.
I can't even say it. But that's my point. And I think that these words should be kind of pushed away from a little bit because
but I think, do you know what? I was reading a book the other day. I think it was a Bell Hooks book, and she was saying that if you don't label the problem properly, then it's hard to tackle it. And I think the thing about calling, like, I don't like the term toxic masculinity mainly because when I talk to guys about it, they just get jarred by the
shut
term.
down.
They don't want to talk about it. But I do think there's something useful about labeling traits that are typically, behaviors that are typically masculine. So things like being strong, things like being stoic, things like not sharing, things like being a problem solver, and then thinking about how those things specifically become toxic. Because I think in this conversation, this sounds like a lot of that. Do you know what I mean? It sounds like these are a lot of things that if this was a circle full of women having this conversation, they probably wouldn't be having the same. Going back to this idea about therapy, or sticking on this idea about therapy, right? Like, has anybody been? You said you're a massive advocate.
Yeah, I go every single week.
Do you think it works?
100%. I feel like it's helped me understand my traumas. It's helped me understand myself. And I feel like it gives me a space to feel like I can unapologetically express my feelings. So I feel like it's really helped me.
Can I say something about that? I think the reason I did try it and it didn't work for me at the time because I didn't need it. I needed it, I wasn't ready for it.
Yes.
I think
That's a big thing.
I saw this woman near where I live kind of probably 5 or 6 times. I wasn't ready for it because I was still had a lot of problems. I think now though, the last 3-4 years for me have been, as I said, the most challenging in my life. And I think I've dealt with a lot of that stuff myself and with the help of my family. That if I go back to therapy now, I feel like, and I express all my things that I feel like I'm going to revert back to that in a way. I'm going to revert back to that person that was damaged, that person that didn't know what
You're trying to not open that kind of worms.
Yeah, I don't want to reopen it because also I played the victim for a fair bit like, because I didn't know how to deal with it. I don't want to get back to that mentality. And I'm doing really well now, so, you know, if I'm doing well now.
There's something about what you're saying that I do resonate with.
Yeah, what you said about not being ready, that was my issue. My issue was I never felt like I was going to be honest enough with a therapist.
That's important.
I was like, why am I going to waste my
keep
time?
thinking.
It's like a doctor calling you, you're
Gonna
ill,
finesse them.
and the doctor calls you to say, what's wrong with you?
And you're just
And you say, so you're only
Don't
doing
worry
yourself
about
a disservice. You must tell him what's really wrong with you. I was like, if I'm going to go therapy, now I think I could. So I think I use music because I was like, I don't want to talk to no one. So this is what I'm going to use, music. But now if someone offered it to me and it was the right situation, I think I can go and really...
I think I'd still have that problem that you said you had before, even now.
not being comfortable.
I think I'm a manipulator. I think I would absolutely finesse my therapist. I think that I would.
Then you're not ready for it.
Yeah, but then you're not ready. That's what I'm saying.
No, that's what I'm trying to say. I feel like that conversation, the only person I can have that conversation with, the only person I've never really tried to finesse is me. Because
that is
it's a double.
You can deceive yourself though.
No, the reason why I say that is because I believe I'm such a top tier manipulator that I'd never try it on myself. Because myself is gonna see what myself is trying. Maybe.
You'll gaslight yourself.
Maybe I'm in Inception.
Yeah.
But I think the reason why is because there is a thing that is innate in humans to want to show your best self to others. And I think that is very prevalent with men.
Yeah. But I think that's why therapy is important to get that wall down.
Yeah, that's why I said you've got to be ready. Because I feel like I've spoken to people that said the first 2 therapy sessions, they was kind of like feeling it out. You know what I mean?
100%.
Then as they, progressed,
they broke the wall down.
The walls broke down. I mean, they realized I'm talking to a safe space and I'm getting... Because one thing I realized I've missed out from, because you know how I said I've used music, I'm always pouring out in my music, but I'm not getting no feedback back. So it'll be interesting to talk to someone and for someone to... Like how we're having this discussion now, I'm saying something and you'll jump in. That part I'm missing that part.
I keep hearing this idea though about being ready to go to therapy. Do you know what I mean? And I've, my experience of therapy, so I've had a couple of rounds of therapy with different therapists for a range of time. I think my last session was probably about a year with one therapist, meeting every week. And I think part of it is that you learn the process of communicating, do you know what I mean? And you learn how to be honest in those spaces. Yeah. And I don't know if I'm wondering where that idea of being ready has come from, because it seems like that's a real barrier. And I imagine it's a real barrier for lots of men to start having
I've never been to therapy. However, I feel like I need to go to therapy just because of what I've learned in the last year or 2. Again, maturing, growing up, I've had to learn that I need to open up. As a man, you need to talk. I need to let out certain things that's gone on in my life. And why I find it hard for me to go to a therapy is because it's a whole complete stranger. Like when I'm speaking to the person, it's like I'm pouring my heart out to you. You know, I'm telling you some real scars, and you're just a stranger to me. I just met you today, and fair enough. I'm gonna do sessions with you and stuff like that. But
that's what makes it bang.
I know, I get that as well. That's what everybody's telling me as well. They're like, because it's a stranger, you can just there's no
you can
opinion,
never chat to them again.
There's no bias.
You can never see them again.
But you know what the thing is? That's the thing though.
Yeah, there's nothing.
I feel like what I'm gonna say to that therapist is gonna make them remember me. I never felt like that. I never thought that.
They must hear though.
No, nah. I feel like they're gonna remember mine.
Can I say as well,
they're
though,
gonna
for
remember
like,
mine.
there's therapy, but there's also other avenues.
There is.
It's
So, like,
not one dimensional.
Like for me, when I was going through a really dark time, when I was trying to, you know, do stupid things, let's say, I would always call the Samaritans up. And for me, that really helped me because it was someone that didn't know me, that I could just talk to, and then it'll be done.
100%.
And then I wouldn't feel like, now I try and talk to my friends if I can about when I'm feeling not good. And I'm allowing myself to have that space. But I think then I couldn't do it because I was worried about, you know, burdening people with my stuff.
And I see therapy more as like it's more like methodical and practical for me in the sense that you can learn how to play football without a coach. And you can probably become a great footballer. But if you don't have that coach to be able to say, this is the area you need to work on, this is the area you need to be fixing. For me, my therapist gave me the optimal way of dealing with issues. That I still exercise, I still do sports, I still do music, I still do these different things to help myself. But I have this person here to tell me the actual way my brain works. The reason why I think this way. And
I've definitely found that it's like exercising a muscle.
100%.
And do you know what the most interesting thing I learned about myself in therapy was like how long it takes me to process an issue. Because I'm so used to like having a conversation with someone and then the conversation finishes and it's done. And that's the end of it. Whereas in therapy, I'd go back 2 months at a time, like week after week after week after week.
The same
conversation. And I literally sit there and feel like I'm wasting my money. I'm saying the same stuff. But my brain is and my body is processing it in a way that's helping me to move through it. And I think sometimes we think, oh, if I have the conversation, then I want the result. Rather than like, it's just a process. Like going through, feeling the feelings, sitting with the emotions, having the week. One time I remember doing therapy and my therapist I was like, what am I supposed to do now? She was like, just be upset. Like, if you're upset, just go to bed and be upset. Like, just be sad. And I was like, I can't be sad for the week. I've got stuff to do. And she was like, yeah, you can.
Yeah, you can.
And I think that was a big, you know what I mean? But that's a big lesson because I think sometimes we think we've got to fix it, we've got to do it, we've got to solve it.
And where did all of that come from?
I was going to say something about that because I was listening to this conversation and I was thinking, this feels very first world.
But it is, right? It's self-actualization.
The therapy, the all of it. I was just thinking to myself, what is happening in communities where, when you said the Samaritans, that's what triggered it for me. I was just like, there wasn't a Samaritans in Jamaica.
Yeah, there might not be.
So, no, but I'm saying, what is it? I'm trying to understand, is it that the generation before us didn't have mental health issues to the degree that we do now? Or is it that they, what were they doing?
I think they did, but they didn't have the luxury to sit down and really process and deal with it.
Too busy.
They put in the foundation to give us that luxury. The only reason I'm sitting down here now is because of the work that our parents did.
So is
they didn't have the time to.
Is luxury
someone who
dangerous?
died, they'll just brush it off and just.
Is luxury dangerous?
No, I wouldn't say it is. I think.
But when I say luxury,
think so.
I think it's Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Do you know what I mean? Like, sorry, it's super technical, but I do think it's like there are things that have to be in place for a person to be the best version of themselves. And we're in a generation and a time when we are so much closer to having the access to be the best versions of ourselves.
100%.
You know what I mean? And hopefully, if we have kids or the next generation beneath us, we'll be able to get them closer to being a better version.
The first time I even heard the term mental health, because we never heard that.
It was a very foreign.
We never heard that. It was foreign. I never even heard the term mental health. As far as I knew, I'm from Tottenham. As far as I knew, if someone, it wasn't called that. It was called he's gone mad.
He's gone crazy.
And I had he's tapped. Is the new one, this generation. And I had so many of that. I had so many people that we consider that in my area. Like there was a guy called Batman, I mentioned it before in another documentary, his name was Batman. And he used to always I was playing wider. His name was Batman and he used to always be seen like punching like the trash cans and stuff, And it's like, we used to always just laugh at him. I didn't realize till later, after doing the documentary, someone came up to me and said, you know the Batman guy you're talking about? he was a boxer and his wife divorced him.
Wow.
And the trauma from that. So when he's punching it, he's reflecting on his boxing days and like the trauma from his wife divorcing him. And that's what inspired me to want to do stuff like this more. Because what I realized is that we look at these people and we realize we forget they're human and they've got stories.
Yeah.
We've got stories, but we don't inquire about the story. The first thing we do when we see them is just like, you know, that initial judgment. But we never forget, some of them weren't, not all of them was born like that, with that issue.
Did you realise that when you were in...
I realised that when I was in section and I saw the Jewish kid with the hat. And I was like, I don't know why I singled him out, but you know what I mean? It was just weird to see. And I was like, what are you doing in there? How did you... Because I'd never spoken to the Jewish... You know what I mean? We're separated in just outside, in the outside of us. But in here, that everyone was in there.
There's a mix of cultures.
There's a mix of cultures that's all had certain mental health issues that's led them in there.
And what got you to the point that you got...
I had as I touched on before, I had a breakdown after I lost the deal.
Right.
Yeah, we were signed. We were signed to a label and we lost our deal and I had a breakdown and it all spiraled. And like, I think about where my mind was at that time. I was young. And I was from like the ends and like,
That's what it is.
you know, like man blow it out of proportion. Oh, you got dropped. And,
Oh, God.
You know what I mean? And like, you don't want to say it to no one. Even getting a job them times, I could have easily have got a job. But in my mind, I was like, I'm on MTV. Like, that's crazy getting a 9 to 5. And so much things I've grown out of now. And I think about the pressure. There has to be therapy and stuff now when I think about it, because that was pre-social media. So imagine going on Grind Daily and seeing
yourself
Shocker dropped.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? Or Shocker just had a breakdown. Luckily, when I did, because my breakdown was serious, I was like trying to run out my house and, do you know what I mean? Luckily, there was no camera. Imagine that was...
No, now, yeah, no way.
Imagine that was on camp, because I know someone, I got a friend that you might have seen his thing. He went viral, he was on the train and he had a breakdown on the train, he was singing to himself. The black guy, I don't know if any of you saw that. No. And like, imagine, I think about like what, his breakdown was cool. You know what I mean? It went viral on social media. So like, I don't think people put themselves in other people's shoes enough. You really do that.
Yeah, but I think like that's due to they haven't had the reason to.
Yeah.
Because like before my situation happened, I didn't understand people's
And what
problems.
was your situation?
So about 2.5 years ago, I got ill. Well, technically, about 3 or 4 years ago, I got ill. And then I was on loads of different steroids, like medical ones. And that was fine for a little bit. They stopped working. And then I got ill properly and then had an emergency operation. And then I got overdosed on morphine.
Wow.
So they gave me too much morphine when I was in hospital, which led to psychosis,
Wow.
which led to mental health hospital. And I was there for not as long, I don't think, but I was there for a good little time. And seeing so many people from my background, but from like everybody, every single different type of background was there. And when you talk to them, like the preconceptions on social media and movies about mental, like people that are crazy, or it's not really the truth. And I think this is what's really important to say is they're just normal people. They're normal people that like something really bad. Like I won't go in, I'm not going to share their stories because it's not my place, but like some really, like how did they come back from that?
Yeah, not to trivialize it, but I never forget. I'm a comic book guy and I like Marvel, DC and stuff like that. And I'll never forget this thing with Joker. You guys have watched Dark Knight, and there's something that Joker's trying to prove the entire movie to Batman, and it's simply that there's no difference between anybody other than that you just haven't had the bad day that they've had. If you have their bad day,
you'll understand.
You'll understand. So what about you guys and mental health? When like what mental health issues have you had?
Yeah. So the first time I realized and kind of become aware of my mental health was when I was 14 and I tried to take my life. I tried to take my life 5 times. My mum had walked into me trying to take in my life and ended up going to, like countryside, Morsey. It wasn't called Morsey, but it's called something else. And I was there for about 3 months. So I remember not being in school. Yeah, not being in school. Like, literally, I mean, even when I came back to school, my friends were like, where were you? And I didn't really talk about it. It was all kind of quiet because it was such a sensitive time. I was like year 9 or something. So it was such a...
Year 9 is crazy.
Yeah, like I was so young. Like honestly, and I feel like the first time I ever thought about taking my life, probably at 11.
Damn.
So
11?
11, yeah, like honestly, like, and it was crazy, like...
Do you mind if I ask, like, I know this is quite a deep question, but do you mind if I ask, like, what was your trigger for
was the catalyst?
trying to
Yeah,
take your life?
so my dad was put in prison
Yeah.
when I was a baby. He left with just me and my mum. So it was really tough. My dad didn't come back. So it was like, it just damaged my mum. And I saw my mum like deteriorate and my mum's mental health go really bad. And like my brother had moved out at the time because we've got like a 10-year difference. So it was just like me on my own. I just felt like, lost. My mum is hurting. There's no structure there. My dad is gone because he's had his whole mental health thing. He lost his cool and he did the whole thing. So it was like just feeling very like lack of value, rejected, abandoned, lost.
And no one had ever taught you how to process it.
No,
one had ever taught you how to
nobody. Like my brother.
Yeah.
You would have. Like my brother was there and he was trying to support me. But again, my brother's in his 20s. He's trying to work out his own life. He's trying to, and he's like, and he even says it to me now. It's like, I don't feel like I was present enough when you were young. And it was
But
when I was.
he was a
couldn't
kid
be.
as well.
Yeah, but then when I went to the hospital, that's when I saw my brother cry. And from that moment when I left hospital, my brother's been on my case. He will call me every week. He'll make sure I'm okay.
You're a good brother, then.
Like now going back to that time in the ward, sometimes I don't remember all of it though. I don't know if you relate to that.
Yeah,
it's like you kind of remember it, but it kind of feels like a memory.
blur, yeah.
Like a blur, right?
I was diagnosed with PTSD.
Yeah. So
Blocked everything out.
and sometimes you have so many blocks, and then all of a sudden,
But it starts coming back.
It comes
now.
back up.
Like I'll spray.
Yeah.
It could be
I'll
a
spray
smell.
perfume.
It could be,
Yeah.
It could be a smell.
Yeah, smell. And I smelt it, and it just like all these
All the
memories,
memories
just
come back.
triggered
Yeah.
from. Yeah, and I did a talk at a school, and you know the buildings have a certain smell.
Yeah.
It had the same smell as the building I was sectioned in.
The hospital.
Yeah.
The hospital smell, and I was like, it's some, you got to snap yourself out of it.
No, I had
'Cause it can take you.
hallucinations.
Yeah, it can take you somewhere.
But it shows you that there's a way to come out.
You had hallucinations?
Yeah.
Wow.
So this was, I don't get it that much anymore, like very rarely. When after about probably, last one was probably 8-9 months ago. And one of the examples was I was in the gym, and I'd take my shirt off, changing to go, and I literally saw myself as I was in hospital with drips and everything.
Wow.
And it was crazy. And it's like this bleed that, like a memory bleed or something, your brain hasn't processed it. And
So yeah, like,
But,
and I remember coming out of that ward near Christmas, and I remember just being like, "Rah, like I'm back into reality now."
Yeah.
And it showed me that mental health is very real, and like it actually can happen to anybody. And my trigger was literally just my dad not being around, my dad leaving, seeing my mum breaking down, seeing my brother leaving. Like it was little things that were just unaddressed. And I think that's where the root of mental health is just not addressing the little things.
What was the thought process at 11 that made you think that's what you wanted to do? I understand what you were going through, but how did that lead to that?
I think it was just the fundamental feeling of like my life is not significant, it doesn't matter. And like I'm a burden because...
Why did you feel like you were a burden?
Because I felt like I was felt to feel like a burden. In a sense of that, because my dad wasn't there.
you didn't want
That's why it was so bad for you.
Yeah, it's like I felt like I had to be that strength from my mom. But I could see...
Too much.
Yeah, 100%. And I felt like my mom also, she didn't have any space to support. She couldn't even support herself. So she's trying to process her emotions through me. She's trying to let out her emotions through me, and then I became the brunt of the brokenness of my mum.
Okay.
That's what kind of happened to me.
You know what's crazy is like when you think about when we all walked into the room together, you just would not assume these kinds of things about people at all.
It's crazy.
You would not have any idea. I wanted to touch on you and like I don't know if you've had any experience.
A couple times today you've referenced like going through something.
Of course. I think everyone does go through some things. To be honest, after listening to the boys, it makes my situation feel like it's nothing.
Yeah, which is the big trap of the whole thing.
Don't compare yourself.
That's like you just said, like
Don't do that.
I came and met these boys today, and then I would have never ever thought, you know what I mean? The stories that have been told today, so it's an eye opener. Even myself, personally, like I said, I've never gone to therapy either. I've never reached out for help. So majority of all of my situations have been all alone. So I've done it all alone. I think what spiraled it out first was just being young and stupid. So I ran into debt at first from very young, from like 16, 17.
Debt at 16?
Yeah, bro. I ran up like, this is stupid debt.
But like, who did you owe?
This goes back to like our identity and how I was always chasing luxury basically when I was younger. So I had no license. I got a car from a rental place.
How did you get the car? On a credit card?
No.
Man said you're
No, I
asking
paid
too
cash
many
for the car.
questions.
These are not the things that even.
That's way too much.
All right, so you got the car.
Got the car, and yeah, my first biggest loss turned from a debt, and then because I was just young, I wasn't actually working back then. I was under 18, so I couldn't actually legally even work full time. So
even do a
I was like,
thing,
exactly. So then that's when the wrong paths get introduced to your life, and you go, and then here's me trying to fix my losses, chase this money stuff, and then I'm slowly, I'm battling myself at this point because I'm thinking, what do I do? Which, you know, at the same time, going back home, I've got the expectations and the standards that set high that I need to be a doctor and I need to be this and that. So the doctor's route is going out the window slowly. And then from there, I kind of I was just alone. And where I feel like if I had an older brother or somebody
you could have patterned.
if I had I've always said this to all my sisters, like if I had an older brother, I don't think I would have been the same guy. I would have been a very different guy. But where I had the 3 sisters and they just kept themselves to themselves, them 3, and because I was always naughty, I was always getting in trouble. I hardly had a relation with my dad either, because my dad is very old school dad. Like he's the whole like,
Stoic.
if you're naughty, bang. If you're not, then you know, if you're a good boy, you can follow my rules. I'll follow yours. If not, then get out.
Wow.
Yeah, so it was very old school. Even till now, I don't have the strongest of relation with him, but because growing up now, I understand. You know, I'll be a father one day, innit? I don't want my kid to not ever just chat to me just because, like,
They've gone down the wrong
you didn't
path.
pass your test or something small like that. But my dad's just old school gen.
That's why I think it's important for us having this conversation, and for how we like act from this point on as well. Because like, for example, when I was in hospital, I didn't have anyone. The people that I thought would message me didn't do that. The people I thought would be there, the people that were there, I didn't expect it. But now I like. I owe someone a disability. I would love if anybody was comfortable talking to me or someone else about it to do it. And I think that's the reason I'm doing it. But I think it's really important.
Going back, growing up, I never ever had a good relationship with my dad. And I feel like I just didn't like the way he used to do things. So if I didn't, do certain things at school or this, it's I'm a bad boy now, or I won't be able to get certain things, certain luxuries get taken away from you. So I just didn't look at him as like, oh, all right, allow it. So as I grew up, as I got naughty, I started getting kicked out. I have to go stay at my friends. And then as being kicked out, I'm getting into more trouble because I'm not in my in a safe
kicked out
space.
of home overnight.
Yeah, overnight for a week. I'm in hotels for like 2-3 days at 18, 19, bro. Like, it's mad. And then there was a whole 2-year phase where a lot of my friends, they thought I live in hotels because I'm literally bouncing out hotels every other week.
You know, when you started this, you said it's small in comparison. This is not small in comparison.
Yeah, I know.
This is a reasonable size of
There's no
difficulty to experience.
It's all relative. It's all relative.
Like anyone's situation is like tailor-made.
Yeah.
Everyone's situation is tailor-made.
Yeah.
Because I've got people that look at me and think, bruv, you lost a record deal.
Just over that.
Just over that.
Yeah, no.
And a breakdown over it. Because don't forget, and on top of it, I was in a group, so there was 3 of us.
Yeah.
The 2 other people didn't react that way. I did. But my circumstances was tailored to make me react that way. The pressure I was going through, the fact that was the only thing I was good at, music, it's the only thing I've ever been good at. So I felt like I'm losing that. Then I never had grades. All my friends went to university. I never had that, so I'm beating myself up about that as well. Whereas like the 2 other members I had, they were doing sick things. You know what I mean? Like one of them was a video director, so he directed all Chipmunks videos and dubs. The other one was Double S. He was already a G by himself, and then me, that I'm like depending on the group. So my identity took a real blow. You know what I mean? So like your situation, everyone's situation is tailor-made.
So you're in and out of hotels at this point.
Basically, and by this time I'm 18.
Yeah.
So by 17, I already got a job as a receptionist at a hotel, and then I
Man's got the discount.
I've done. I was working live-in.
Right.
So they used to give me one room. That's my house now, basically. Wow. But I was still going home because of my mum, only my mum and my sisters. And my mum she knew that my dad was wrong, but she still had to kind of...
the authority to challenge it.
Because my dad was kind of the boss of the house, basically, the leader of the house. But my mum will make the call every 24 hours. When my dad goes work, he had a pattern from 11 to 11, he's at work. She'll tell me come home, get changed, eat, shower, then go back to wherever you're going. But I'll let her know where I am. I'll let her... It's only my mum. Other than that, my dad... not cool, but then after I had to realize that my dad cared, but his ego had him blocked up. Like he used to tell my mum, "Oh, call him, ask him where he is. Call it, like, is he okay?" These sort of things. But he will never pick up the phone. Till this day, I've never seen my dad's phone or my dad's name on my phone for like a good 5 years, 6 years. It's nuts. Obviously, I see him. We still live together. Like we still live together. We pass each other, but there's not a word that crosses through us.
You two are not buddies.
No buddies.
Can I ask a question? How do you think that your relationship, as guys here, with your dads have affected your mental health and well-being?
I mean, I've got a complete opposite story to you. My dad's been amazing throughout my whole life.
That's beautiful.
And I'm very grateful to have.
It was you that was the pagan.
Everyone's like, must be great. My dad's cool as well.
No, but like, there, you know, and I wasn't close to my family for a fair bit, a chunk of my life, due to me, due to me, really. And actually, being close to all of them so close now is just amazing. So I'm very grateful for that.
Yeah.
I love that.
But I can imagine
Dad
it's
as
quite
well.
hard.
Yeah.
Growing up now, I understand the importance of the connection with my father, innit? Hence why I'm not being such a, I don't use the wrong word, but a dickhead. I'm not trying to do what he done. 3 years ago, I was doing what he was doing. I was like, all right, cool, you don't talk to me, I don't talk to you then, innit? Whatever, that's fine. Leave it how it is. But now, going back to religion as well, I feel like it's very, very important. Like I said, if I have kids, I don't want to be ever in that situation where my children are not speaking to me for whatever reason it is.
When you were speaking against culture, or speaking against when you were speaking against culture, I was like, this sounds proper strong.
It's coming from somewhere else.
Do you feel like when you think about culture, your dad is culture?
Yes, bang on.
Okay.
He's culture, innit?
Okay.
And that's why I'll never take on culture, innit? And they, like, when I say culture, it comes from, if I scream, I get hit. If I've got bad, you got hit. You got this, you get it. And I don't want that culture. I don't want that culture. I don't want my kids to ever think of culture. Of course, you're gonna have to shout and discipline your children, but you don't. There's certain
children.
There's things you
they're children.
You have to
There's
treat them like they're
certain extents to it,
adults.
So I feel like, it's made me who I am today, but at the end of the day,
Men and dads, man.
Yeah,
big
I
thing
feel
we
like
don't
in the
talk
Asian
about.
community as well, it's not just me. I've spoken to a lot of Asian men as well. It's very common for an Asian boy and their dad to not think to get along.
To not get along.
Wow.
Because the dad expects them to be a certain someone, but we have our teen days, we have our teen ages where we're gonna mess up, we're gonna go on a different path. And once the path is, you've gone on that one path once, that's it. He's not looking at you again.
If you're a boss trying to raise a boss,
there you go.
At some point, the boss you're trying to raise is gonna feel like, why is the boss bossing the boss?
I was waiting for that one, but
I think that's what happens to
How
a lot of, I think that's what happens to a lot of young men. That's why they rebel.
Master and teacher,
You know what I mean? Because you created a master and teacher dynamic and told me that I was a master, but if I'm a master, how come you're trying to master me? For me, my life is like, like you have BC, AD kind of vibes. Growing up, my dad was literally a superhero until one day I found out he was a human being. And maybe if I knew he was a human being the whole time, it'd have been all right.
We all realised that
But
at that point.
literally, when the cape fell off, mash man up.
And it's even, I would say the same, it's even for those that don't have a present father. You always expect them to be that knight or to be that hero that comes. And then it was a long time, and then 18, and then 21, and then now, you might say hey, I say hey, that's it. And then it might be a year, nothing goes by. Like that's our relationship. It's not there. It's just like he's a guy. So David, have you experienced anything in terms of mental health and your well-being?
Me, not majorly. Not majorly, and I'm trying to figure out why that is. And I think because I've always had my own personal relationship with God, I feel like that massively helped me. Because I was brought up in a religion, but I really took it on for myself, and that helped to provide perspective to
Was
certain
both parents
things.
present?
Both parents present in my life. But yeah, I think that helped with perspective. But like I said, I found out they were human. So that was kind of a big shock to me. But it's mad because when I think about ever feeling sad or depressed, it was all over one ex. Yeah. You know, the first baddie. Yeah, no, my first baddie done me over just because it wasn't gonna work out, and I realized that it wasn't gonna work out.
Yeah.
And I remember waking up that morning, and I was looking up at my roof, and I realized that I wasn't gonna move. I clocked. I was like, I'm not gonna get up out of this bed. And I said to myself, because somebody said earlier just be upset.
Yeah.
That's what I remembered that day instantly, because I said to myself, because I didn't have bad days. Because I'm really as energetic as it looks like on paper. You know what I mean? You know, I have a lot of comedians where it's like, yay, but then in the dark, I'm yay both. But that day I was like, today's gonna be a bad day, and I just have to hold that, but it's not gonna be forever. And that's literally what I did. But yeah, it was my first bad day. Sometimes heartbreak.
Heartbreak doesn't say that women is a...
And I got her in the end, and then it didn't work out same way. So it's just like them things happen. Sometimes you really think something's everything. Like you thought that music career, that record deal, everything, and then you find out, oh, life actually continues after the thing that I've blown up as everything.
No, 100%.
It's an important one, isn't it? Like I think this is this conversation in and of itself, even that point that you were making about being gracious towards the parents who have maybe failed their kids in some ways. I think it speaks to the point that you were making earlier about the older generation, right? And whether this is all just a luxury. But actually, I'm not sure describing it as a luxury is the right thing. It feels like a necessity. It feels like in order to not screw over the people that are coming after us, and in order for us to be happy and healthy individuals, like taking these conversations about mental health seriously is important. Whether that's going to therapy, whether that's going to the doctors, whether that's just talking to your brethren and making that normal, whatever it is, whether it's reminiscing on the first time the baddie did you over, or I don't know, whatever it is. But like, just making it, like you say, normal to have those conversations feels so important.
Especially for men as well. Because I think that men have a huge rate of suicide.
Massive.
It's the biggest thing. Like I've been there. I've had my own. It's behind me now, but I think it's really important to always continue this chat, especially with your friends. So I think
100%.
we should always
100%.
And not repeat the same mistakes that the older generation have done. Because I think the reason why they haven't done this work is because they didn't have the access to it.
Yeah. All right. We're gonna. Sorry. So maybe I don't know how to end this. Maybe that what we should do is go and have one of this same conversation with our friends. Do you know what I mean? Let's take it out, man. That's
the point of this, isn't it? That's the point of this.
It was great chatting to you.
You too.
Definitely.